my gosh, you need help again? Come on! Okay, so here we have our next problem. It's number 56 from the chain rule section. And since we see, first off, once we just scan the problem, we see that there is a composite function. So that is a of x. And the question is asking us to find a prime of x at 500 milligrams. So now, I know this looks like a really long and scary problem, but actually once you break it down, it's okay. So as I said, we have to find a prime of x using the numbers that they give us. And we know that h of x is the amount entering the bloodstream. G of x is the amount that survives the filtration of the liver. And f of x is the amount actually absorbed into the sinus cavity. And here we're talking about the use of antibiotics for a sinus infection. So obviously the main goal is for it to get to the sinus cavity. So they want us to find how much would eventually get to the sinus cavity if the person is given a 500 milligram dose. So a prime of 500 is our main goal. And we're going to use the amounts given in order to break down this problem. Okay, so as I said, this is a composite function and it's within the chain rule unit. So what we're going to do first is just differentiate the function of a of x at 500 milligrams. Of course, you can do this step by step. You can differentiate a prime of x. However, since it's only one variable that we're using and there's only one x in this whole function, I just like to substitute it in there anyways, to make it one step. So as you can see, I use the chain rule here, and we can see the three different sections, and we go back to the units that they give us in the problem, which are h prime of 500 equals 2.5, g prime of 8 equals 1/4, and f prime of 2 equals 1. Now, I did not really find myself needing to use the numbers given for h of x, g of x, and f of x, more just the differentiated numbers. And then I just plugged those into the a prime of 500 in order to get 0.625 milligrams. And the units for that is actually milligrams per milligrams, but we'll talk about what this number means now, because there are actually two parts to this question. It says calculate a prime of x and interpret your answer. And that's a really good skill for word problems, and especially when dealing with biosciences and just science in general. It's good to always relate it to the real world. So, y'all, you can just check the writing and the working out. Okay, so we now have arrived at the part to interpret a prime of x. So if you'd like to refresh your memory on what the question was asking us and what information it gave us, you can scroll back to the beginning of this video, but it's basically summarized here in that h of x is the milligrams of antibiotics that arrive at the bloodstream through the stomach. Because this medicine, or these antibiotics, are ingested orally. G of x are the milligrams that survive filtration by the liver, and A of x is the milligrams that make it to the sinus cavity. And this is the ultimate point of the antibiotics, so that you can get rid of sinus infection. So A prime of x will be milligrams per milligram, the units for a prime of x, And we know that because in using in substituting 500 milligrams, we can see that for a dose of 500 milligrams, the amount of antibiotics that arrive at the sinus cavity is 0.625 milligrams for each milligram taken orally, right? So only a little bit more than half a milligram